Any of you ever watch some of those foreign movies, like the Chinese movies, either from China or Hong Kong, maybe the Korean films? I know when I used to take our youth group to Mexico, sometimes we would see the Mexican dramas that appeared at nighttime. You know, in those cultures, all of their television shows and movies are so emotional. Everybody is crying. Someone gets angry. Uh, People are just beside themselves. Can you imagine if we made one of those movies at camp and you saw Erica one morning and you went up to her, Erica, 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 have you had breakfast yet? We get so tied up in the emotion of the moment. It's like everything has to go over the top, over the edge to express ourselves. And, I'm so glad when we look at Genesis 50, Joseph was not like that. Genesis 50:20 is a verse that is fairly well known. A lot of people quote it. And these are words that Joseph spoke at the end of his life to his brothers. And he's remembering the things that have gone on in his life. And he says to them, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." And Joseph is looking back on his life. He's remembering the good times. He's remembering how Egypt was flourishing when he was the prime minister. He's remembering how he was able to bring his family to save them from the famine and to give them safety so that they could live with him in Egypt. He remembers the good times, but he also remembers the hard times. He remembers how his brothers sold him to the traders and made him a slave. He remembers being unjustly accused in Potiphar's household. He remembers spending those long years in prison, 2 long years before he was delivered, before he was taken out of there. Yeah, he remembers the bad along with the good. As we prepare for BAAYF 2020 and our theme Sustain, I want us to know that God is moving in our lives. That's what Joseph recognized. He saw God moving in his life, whether things were pleasant or whether things were difficult. And I think a lot of times we get the impression that if everything is smooth, if everything goes our way, if we're happy with what's going on, then God is with us. But once we hit a hard time, we go, "Oh, where is God? Why has He abandoned me?" No, He has not abandoned you. God is with you in the bad times as well as the good. And if we are going to follow through on this theme of sustain, we need to recognize how God moves in our lives. And I know a lot of times, we go to camp, we have this great time. I've mentioned this in weeks before. And then we go back home and we say, "Oh, what happened? I wish I was at camp again." But that's not the way life works. God sustains us through the bad times and the good. What I'd like us to do this week in preparation for camp, and it's going to take a little bit of discipline on your part, I want you to pray every day and ask God, "What are you doing in my life today?" And if you know that's going to be hard for you, do some of those tricks to remind yourself. People used to tie a string around their finger to remind them of something. You might put a piece of masking tape up on your bathroom mirror. Just do something. Paint your toenails a different color. Something that will remind you to pray each day this week and to ask God how He is moving in your life as you enter into the week of camp. Do you want to have a great camp experience? The best way is that you go into camp knowing that God is moving in your life. The best way to enjoy camp is to know that God is moving in your life. The way that you sustain yourself after camp is to see how God is moving in your life. So let's do that. Let's take some time this week, read Genesis 50:20, meditate upon that. Maybe in the columns, the blank space next to Genesis 50:20 in your Bible, maybe write a couple notes. If you don't like writing in your Bible, jot it down somewhere or put it on your phone or whatever's convenient. Jot some thoughts down about how Genesis 50:20 speaks to you. And then pray each day and see what God will do. And I guarantee by the end of BAAYF 2020, you'll have some stories to tell, either to your friends, your counselors, your cabin mates, maybe even to your mom and dad. But let's see how God moves in our lives to sustain us through BAAYF 2020.